What is something that is expensive, but only owned by poor people? Rent to own. Spoiler. You never quite own it. Payday loans. Single items of things that should be bought in bulk. Like single rolls of toilet paper. Barely scraping by paycheck to paycheck means buying bulk is sometimes impossible. A perpetually broken car. Prepay electricity meters. Dental problems. Those impacted wisdom teeth are hella expensive. I remember I had an old Chevy truck that cost so much to maintain and keep fuel in that I couldn't afford to save for another car. I literally kept me broke until I eventually joined the military and could afford a different vehicle. Crappy cars are more expensive than you realize. Bad credit. It is expensive to make someone comfortable enough to loan you money without them being certain you'll pay it back. Debt. Well, at my job there are a few people who I'm aware of their salary. They make around $25,000 a year after taxes. One of them somehow has a lifted Ford Raptor that I hear is like $50,000. He recently acquired a motorcycle too. He probably thinks it's cool, but he's likely eating the dirt off his tires because he can't afford anything else but those payments and insurance. Lottery tickets. The amount of privates in the Army who have just enough money to pay for their 30% interest 2018 Ford Mustangs. But not enough money to buy literally anything else is pretty ridiculous. Edit. There to there. Edit 2. Thanks for the ignite, kind stranger. Funny to me that my highest rated comment is about how stupid privates can be. A lot of kids. The poor are often very fruitful. As somebody who works at a gas station. Newport cigarettes. Seriously. It's almost only ever poor people who buy them. And they're one of the most expensive cigarette brands we carry. Edit. For those asking how I know they're poor. It's something you eventually pick up on after working at a gas station for a while. It's hard to describe. But it's subtle. It's usually their mannerisms. Cigarettes, expensive as fuck in Australia. Shopping carts. Multiple cars that don't work. Lack of preventative care. Cheap shoes or cheap mattress leads to more expensive medical care. Lack of dental maintenance leads to expensive surgeries. That kind of thing. When you can't afford preventative medical care, it catches up to you, leading to more expensive costs later. Cheap equipment of all sorts. Like dollar store items that really shouldn't be available in the dollar store. This is the Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness. The summary is based on boots, as you might expect from the name, where the laborer only makes enough to pay for cheap boots, let's say $50-ish. Meanwhile the foreman, or person in charge, can afford expensive boots, let's say $100-ish. The catch is that the $50 boots only last one season. Where the $100 boots last many seasons. The poor laborer can never afford the expensive boots. But over any length of time beyond a single season, ends up paying more for boots than anyone that can afford a better, higher quality pair. Because they're buying boots every season. I always see everything in a dollar store by this metric. Sure, it's cheap, and if you only ever intend to use it once or a few times, then that's fine. Anything you need to use more than once, go somewhere else. A good modern example would be pots and pans, bakeware and similar. At a dollar store, even if you get a reusable baking tin, it's likely going to fail or rust or otherwise become unusable long before something that's 10x the cost at Walmart. Even the Walmart tin will likely last hundreds of times longer than the dollar store tin. If you're poor, the best thing you can do for these types of items is to buy them from thrift shops. Anywhere they sell used goods. Buying a nice but used item will last longer and cost less in the long run than something you buy at the dollar store. But dollar stores are immensely successful. Because people are penny wise but pound foolish. Edit. Special thanks to you, Lori G, in the comments for this correction. Greater than this is the Captain Samuel Vimes, Boots, Theory of Socioeconomic Unfairness. Terry Pratchett. Men at Arms. EDIT 2. The man himself showed up, or at least someone with his name as their username, Redditor for 1 year, Duke Samuel Vimes. Permalink to comment. Bad teeth. When you can't afford a dentist visit and let your oral health slide. It can have all sorts of expensive health consequences, such as heart disease. Designer handbags covered in the brand logo. Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton. Crippling medical debt. MLM equipment. Edit. Bonus points because it makes poor people even poorer. MLM equals multi-level marketing. Slabs, it's hood rich and they spend so much more on straps. Candy coats. And clean AF interiors. Looks dope, but I don't care for cars that much to own one and I'm not from Houston. Excessive amount of anything. Like Jordans, like $200 to $300 shoes. Did an eviction once and the guy had about 100 boxes of them. Edit. I meant excessive amount of expensive items they typically wouldn't be able to afford normally. And needlessly spend money on these items. Just paying rent. Where I live mortgage is way cheaper than getting a house, but they don't give me a mortgage because I don't earn enough. So I have to keep renting expensive places, making it take even longer for me to save up. And in my situation, getting a better paying job is difficult. I swear this world is made for the rich and middle class. Poor people are straight up fucked in every way possible. Long-term, near constant stress and worry over money. Definitely expensive in terms of physical and mental health. In India, agricultural land. The Toyota on the street that speeds down the road sounding like a WW2 artillery strike. Chrysler 300. Loads of stuff. It's expensive being poor for a variety of reasons, including having to buy poorer quality goods and needing to replace them more often because of initial cost. Not being able to bulk buy. Predatory loans. And really anything that puts someone in a "you have no other choice" position. On top of that, there are things like cheap food being bad for your health and incurring expensive health bills later in life. Continuing paying rent on something you'll never own. Cheap cars that require maintenance more often. Being poor is expensive AF. Spinning rims on cars. Tattoos. They're not cheap. But somehow they're inked from head to toe. A low credit score. That shit is so expensive. Decent size house that costs about $200,000. Being poor because they now have to pay the bank around $1,000 monthly and barely have money to take care of the house, electricity, water, heat, etc. And themselves. Laundry. The poor don't own the machines. But they pay a lot more overall to do laundry at laundromats. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.